This is Frank Pay's Little Nemo after Winsor McCay, drawn, written, colored, I believe, painted by the Belgian cartoonist Frank Pay, who sadly we just lost about a week ago at age 69. Best known for being a cartoonist of animals. You'll get to see more of them inside the book. You can see more of them on the back side of the book. This one's published by Magnetic Press, so you get the rounded corners there on the hardcover. It collects what was a 2-album tribute, if you will, from Frank Pay to Winsor McCay's classic turn of last century comic strip. I'm just going to flip through this book and talk about it as we go, show you what they have in here. The pages are a little glossy, not too bad, but they're good solid weight there, so you don't see anything bleeding through. We have a 2-page introduction here by Pay himself with a little drawing of little Winsor McCay with Nemo there together. It's a sort of fantastic introduction to the book. Not all of it to be believed, which is why it's followed by a comics journalist and historian, or actually a pair of them, to explain to you that don't always believe everything the author tells you. So they reprint one of the classic Little Nemo strips there, and then the book gets really started. There are these interstitial pieces throughout the book. Some of them were done originally for the albums, and some of them were promotional pieces, posters for comics festivals, that kind of stuff. I'm glad they're all in here because it's all great and helps fill out the book. The book is about 80 pages, which for a 2-album compilation is a little thin, but I don't mind. The cover price on this is $19.99. It's worth it. It's a nice oversized book. The covers are solid. The paper quality is good. The color is super, super rich and works very well on this. We start with Nemo down here asleep inside of a mountain of books, and his friend Flip there is looking for him. And then we're off to the races with him in Dreamland, and mostly on every page or every 2-page sequence, him waking up in bed with his mother trying to wake him up, or a variety of things happening. You'll see at the top they always have the Little Nemo title there is drawn in different ways for every page as it goes. He does some great work with sort of the Art Nouveau styling, the Alphonse Mucho styling, the lettering, if you will, of the book. It looks great. I love this big giant, I guess, polar bear there. The penguins are cute. The other animals are all good. The pages themselves are entertaining, but, I think this is mostly an art book, if I'm being honest. And I don't mind that at all, because it's some beautiful art. Here's just a regular painting of a large cat. Not Marsupilami, although there is sort of a Marsupilami cameo later in the book we may see if I get that far. I love this page. The man can draw an elephant being blown across the jungle. It's pretty cool. You will believe an elephant can fly, basically. This is probably my favorite pinup of the book. You see the Little Nemo cast there overlooking a city. You see all the skyscrapers in the background, then you realize the skyscraper feet there are all elephant feet. So there's something interesting. Reminds me a little bit of Francois Skyton, not because he's drawing buildings, but it does have that sort of fantastical imagery that kind of looks normal at first, but the more you look at it, the more you realize this is some really crazy stuff, and it's pretty cool. He plays with words on this one. This will probably get pretty repetitive if I just flip through the entire book page by page like this, but needless to say, there's some great animals in here, some fun little one-pagers. Nemo himself is cute. It is a great, book of art. I'm trying to see if there's some more of those interstitial pages here I could show you. That might have been a cover to the original album. I'm not entirely sure. Francois Skyton, by the way, speaking of him, he did do an introduction to one of the albums over in France. There's another one. Lots and lots of animals, some made up as we go along. Obviously, the animal with the face of a simian-type creature, not a real cat. And so the book goes. I love these pages, which kind of look like Frank Pay did a drawing and then they kind of blew it up so you could see all the little scratchy details of the pencil work, or maybe the chalk work, whatever he's using there to make that art work well. I'm not great enough to be able to tell you what kind of painting style this is. Some of it looks like watercolor. Some of it, like this, looks like colored pencil over top of it. For all I know, it's gouache. I'm not an expert in that stuff. I always stuck to black and white line work, thank you. Dinosaurs. If you like dinosaurs, this book has those as well. So make sure you pick it up. I always love a page where you have one character in 1,000 positions on the same page doing some sort of action, and here he is trying to get to sleep, or maybe just waking up. Maybe this is his night of sleep, as he had all the adventures earlier in the book. You can read into it what you will. There he is in actual street clothes. Little Nemo all grown up. There's Winsor McCay having a little daydream there. And it all wraps up with little Winsor McCay over there. And then there is this essay in the back of the book, which maybe I can put up on the screen to show you. There is, I can't do this one-handed. There is this essay, which explains a bit of what's going on in this book also that I didn't know the first time I read this through. I didn't realize it at all, but an entire character has been removed from this book. And as you can imagine, being a book from the turn of last century, the character was removed from the book because the character had certain stereotypical characteristics of minority characters that you wouldn't want to have fly in this day and age. And Frank Pay, to his credit, said, yes, when this is printed in America, I will remove that character. He kept him in there because he wanted to pay tribute to as much of Winsor McCay's book as possible, the comic strip as possible. But he realized what was going on and decided when this goes to America, we'll take that character out. So I'll put one up on the screen here as a couple really good examples. I don't think the character shows up throughout the entire book. I think it's probably more sporadic. I was able to look at a preview of the French book and see the first few pages and see a few examples of it going on. The character is missing from this page. So what Pay probably did was just, make little patches, draw the backgrounds over top of where the character was, and you'd never notice the difference. The big example, and I put it in my written review, you can find on pipelinecomics.com of this book. There was an initial 3 or 4 panel sequence featuring that character. They just ripped that entire thing out, and he created this new introduction for it, so that works. But it's not the kind of thing where you're going to scream censorship or you're going to scream this book makes no sense now, any of that kind of stuff. It is as well-intentioned as you can imagine, doesn't hurt the book, and the book is great. So read it for the animals, read it for the cartooning, pick it up today. There's not much in the way of Frank Pay's material that's available in English. In fact, I don't really know of anything else besides this book, to be fair. He did do a Spirou story once. At the time of his death, he was working on The Beast, which I guess was supposed to be 3 albums. He was doing the 3rd album. I don't know how far along that got, but the first volume of that is available digitally if you want to take a look at that. It's pretty cool. Set in Belgium with a new version of Marsupilami that's kind of, beastish, as you might imagine. But for now, we have this great book, beautiful book, Frank Pay's Little Nemo after Winsor McCay. Definitely worth a read. Again, $19.99. Worth a read, a great art book, well presented by Magnetic. Definitely give it a chance.